We're the Story Dads, and we are here using our forced lived experience of rewatching these stories,
Yeah.
and trying to unpack this stuff for fun. What story are we talking about today?
We're gonna get into the Jungle Book.
Yes.
Where this is Xerox era of Disney, yeah?
Yeah, will you unpack that?
Yeah, so like there was an era where like I think it was a money saving thing. They would reuse just animations and character models and all that across like different movies. Um to where like if you line up the movies or the shots like side by side, it's the exact same. Like his arm moves here, his leg moves here. Like I think there's a scene, I saw a video in this one where like when Mowgli's mad and he's kind of walking across a log. It's like there's a Christopher Robin scene from a Winnie the Pooh where it's like they're lining up the same and they're walking across the log at the same time and they jump down at the same spot. It's like they would do a lot like that. I think there was a couple overlaps in this one that they also use from 101 Dalmatians, and I think some
Hmm.
Sword in the Stone is in there.
There's definitely some Robin Hood,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Yeah,
a
Baloo
lot of
and Baloo and Little John are the same character model
yeah,
and
and
they have
the
a lot of the
and
same dance moves when they're
yeah,
singing and dancing. Yeah.
caw and hiss, which makes you wonder if there literally was Xeroxing going on. There's like some
Oh yeah, yeah.
ghosting, but
Yeah.
yeah. So neither here nor there. So where do you want to start with Jungle Book?
So I guess just like we can get into the story itself and then maybe we can unpack some of the characters specifically. Like the story itself doesn't follow any like story model. It's not a big I guess the overarching story is them taking Mowgli to the man village and him ultimately going there, but it kind of feels like a series of little like shorts throughout it. Like, all right, this is the him not wanting to go, and Bagheera takes him, and then he goes Baloo, and they do bare necessities, and then he's with King Louie,
Yeah,
and then this happened. But there's no like this leads to this, which is this. It's
yeah.
yeah, the story of it's I don't know what the word is. Linear? It's not quite linear. I don't know
It's
how you
yeah.
describe it.
It's almost like episodic, but like
Yeah, yeah,
and what do they call it? In like a procedural.
right.
Except they set up. They do set up like Shere Khan hates man cubs.
Yeah,
Like he hates humans.
right.
And so, like the clash between Shere Khan and Man Cub is
Yeah,
inevitable.
yeah,
Um, and so, I read the book, uh, in preparation for
yeah.
this, and it's awesome. By the way,
Hmm.
it's super fun, and it is 100% procedural. Like it's just
Interesting.
like uh, the cartoon version that we're talking about is this, I think, really cleverly done mashup
Yeah,
of several of the episodes that
interesting.
all come together and coalesce into this one overarching
So,
plot.
so, so the
So,
book is like here's his time with Bagheera. Here's his time. He's with the wolves. Akela says you got to go, and so they kick him out, right? And then Bagheera, and then Baloo. Like it. I've
kind
not read
of
the book,
like
so it kind of goes like that.
so Mowgli, like in the book, Mowgli is sort of a cocky little turd. Like
Yeah,
he's cocky. He's like, I'm the best wolf,
yeah,
and I can do stuff nothing you can do, and I can do what you can do better, and
yeah.
like and Baloo does train him, and
Hmm.
Baloo, like, it's noteworthy that like it's talking about how Baloo beats him up, like
Yeah, yeah,
discipline
yeah,
him, like he cuffs him all the time and stuff,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is fun because in the cartoon that's far more innocent.
They're kind of play
He teaches
fighting,
him to,
but yeah,
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 they do
yeah.
like a little boxing match, and he kind of like
In the
knocks
book,
him
he
out on
actually like
accident.
beats the crap out of him,
Yeah, it's
smacks
like
him around. Yeah,
there's quite a bit of like corporal incentive to like
got
learn
it.
the
Yeah, yeah,
lessons, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's like Bagheera gives him a hard time. It's like, well, your pupil's like black and blue.
yeah.
Like if he gets one of those for every lesson, he must be a genius by now. And so,
Okay.
um, and so so in the books, also what's fun, like Ricky Tikki Tavi is in that book.
Hmm.
If you remember that story from when we were kids, like it's a non Mowgli
Yeah.
little side story sandwiched into the Jungle
Oh,
Book.
interesting.
Uh,
Okay.
and then there's also a story in there about um, like these elephants that were serving in the military.
Okay.
And so they put that in the cartoon, like the
Interesting.
elephant brigade.
That's
They don't,
wild when they introduce that in the story because all of a sudden it's like, well, these guys are here and they're military. We're not going to tell you why, but there they
yeah,
are.
yeah. And he's
Yeah.
like, I served in so and so. And so
Yeah.
they don't interact with Mowgli in the book. Uh,
Okay.
and so, without spending too much time getting into what the
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
is, it's not really what we're talking about. Just to say, as far as, because we do usually talk about like how did they do adapting? What are the
Yep. Yep.
things?
Yep.
So Shere Khan pretty much just gets his ass kicked in every story. Like he
Okay.
really
Yeah.
just like he's crippled,
Interesting.
and so he's kind of known as being mean and sneaky and not
Okay.
all that. Like the wolves aren't scared of him because they're like,
Right.
look, if we
Okay.
team up on you, we can beat you. And
Interesting.
but they got to watch out for him because he is cunning, because
Okay.
he's got like a bum leg.
So
And he does
is that Scar in the Lion King? I know I'm jumping back to throwbacks, but
yeah.
like he's clever. He's not the toughest guy. Like
Yeah, there's definitely
yeah.
parallels. And Shere Khan pulls like political machinations to wind
Yeah.
up taking over the wolf pack.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so that's ultimately why Mowgli has to leave, is because he engineers like a way to take Akela
Yeah.
out and like supplant himself and his cronies as like the leaders
Yeah.
of the wolf pack. So there's like
Yeah.
some political,
Yeah.
mystery and shenanigans going on. And then several stories happen, many of which have nothing to do with Mowgli. And then you circle back to another one with
Huh.
Mowgli, where Mowgli has been living in the man village for a while
Interesting.
and winds up, no spoilers. It's Kipling. Like, I can spoil it. It's been around for 100 years, but so he winds up killing Shere Khan by like running a buffalo stampede over him, and like and like skins him and takes his skin back to the wolf pack and is like, I'm the boss now. Like he reinstates Akela and like, but it's cool. And ultimately, like sounds weird following like stampeding him to death and skinning him, but honestly, like good story time book, like a really cool book to read to kids. Like oddly enough, and it's written really beautifully. It has like songs in between. Like it'll have like the song of the wolves when they like cast out Akela. It'll have like the song of the birds when Rikki Tikki Tavi like took out the snakes. And anyway,
and short little episodes that are easily digestible for the kids.
Totally, they're little mini stories, Mowgli in the books, all of the major animal players that we see in the movie are major animal players, including getting kidnapped by the monkeys. That's the main event of the first Mowgli story.
Okay. Separate from the King Louie section?
Well, so King Louie isn't in it.
Okay.
So they invented King Louie for the movie.
Gotcha.
And this ties into something else that I'd love to talk about before we're done.
Yeah.
Which is the little Disney, like, you're a bad person for watching this movie Preamble that they put on with Disney Plus. So they invented King Louie for that, but getting kidnapped by the monkeys is a big deal. And they have to like make this alliance with Kaa to go and rescue Mowgli, because all the monkeys are terrified of Kaa because he sits in the trees and they swing by and he eats them. And so it's pretty gruesome.
So good story time read with the kids.
Yeah, your kids will love it, but it's pretty gruesome. Like that snake eats those monkeys. So the movie starts and it's like the boy orphan left at the door story.
Moses in the basket.
Yeah, there you go. Moses in the basket.
Yeah.
Which, let's see. I'd love to run with that.
Yeah. That was the first thing that jumped off to me. I already watched it, but no, I mean, it's the first scene in the movie where it's like kid in the basket. What'd they say? He was, his parents got killed or something. And they don't really say much about it. It just baby in a basket. Bagheera finds him and says, "All right, I'll take him to the wolves, I guess."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, orphan story. Someone raised outside their home. Little Harry Potter thing in there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what's your
Yeah.
take?
Well, yeah. So the orphan. So in a way, Mowgli also like rises to liberate his pack from Shere Khan
Okay.
ultimately. And so here's the outsider, the orphan. He's in a basket.
Yeah,
In a
yeah.
way, he calls down plagues on him too. Like at the end of the
Sure.
thing, oh, there's lightning and there's
Yeah.
rain and then there's fire, and he like drives
Hmm.
the evil out. Um,
So Shere Khan is
uh,
Pharaoh there.
sure, yeah, yeah. Interestingly, Shere Khan would come back in Tailspin to be a very pharaohaic, like
There you
CEO,
go.
like evil leader of a corporate empire.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's another
No,
story
we're
entirely.
it's just still very much a jungle animal. It was interesting that
Yeah,
I guess kind of on that note, there's gonna be a lot of tangents in this story today. I feel like it lends itself a lot to tangents like this. But
yeah,
how like all these different characters, you've seen like the Baloo model as Little John. Like you've seen these characters in a lot of different places. In Tailspin, you brought that one up too. But like
right,
this
right,
is the most like these are just them in their pure animal form. They're not taking
right.
on. I mean, they're it's Disney, this cartoon, they're talking all that, but they're not taking on a bunch of other human characteristics around that.
Right.
Um, I guess thematically, that's a big piece of it.
Yeah, and that's cool. It's truly an animal adventure. It really is like the
Yeah,
idea really is like Mowgli really does talk to animals and he's
yeah,
in their world.
yeah.
Um, and in the books, he has to learn all the different animals' languages so that he can like utter this
Hmm.
passphrase kind of thing, and then they're like, "Okay, we're
Yeah.
cool with you."
Well, in each
Um,
of the different episodes, so like Bagheera, he's with Bagheera. Well, no, he's with the wolves to start, and then he thinks he's a wolf, right? And I'm trying to be the best wolf, right? And then he ends up with
right,
Baloo, and he's like, okay, I can be a bear now. Now I'm a bear,
right,
right? And then he kind of plays the
yeah,
role of that, right? And then he runs across all
yeah,
the, I might be getting the order wrong, but he runs across the elephants. He's like, I'm a military elephant now. Like he just slots
right,
right into each of these, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and King Louie's the first one where someone else outside of him is like, no, you're like a man. Like I want to learn what that's about, right? He's like, what are you talking about?
yeah,
Like I'm,
yeah.
I'm I'm an elephant. I'm a bear. I'm whatever else, right?
Yeah, yeah. I belong here in the jungle. And Louis is the first one that's like, I know who you are
Yeah, yeah,
and I want what you've got.
yeah,
And yeah, that's good. And you know what is interesting there is evolutionarily, the thing that humans do so phenomenally well is adapt.
adapt.
And
Yep.
and we're very malleable in our we're not as malleable in our like hardware, but our
Hmm.
software is incredibly
Yep.
malleable.
Yep.
And so what's neat about him in this, this primal feral state becoming all the different animals is he's demonstrating like the human ability. Like we can, humans can
Yep.
out climb, out hunt, out swim, out fly, out like every animal
Yeah.
on the planet through our adaptability. And so he demonstrates this, like the potential for that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and so we really do seed from the beginning, though. It's that Shere Khan hates humans. Humans
Yeah.
have fire.
Yep.
He's going to want to kill you before you
Yeah.
can become a man, at which point your potential for adaptability reaches fruition. And then all of Shere Khan's advantages are kaput.
Yeah.
So Shere Khan's got this ticking clock,
Yep.
and we're watching Mowgli deny like his birthright, let's say.
The I'm a man. You should go be in the man village.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the my job as a boy is to become a man and cast out
Yep.
tigers.
Yep.
And he's in denial of that. He's like, I'm not worried, I'm not afraid, like I
Yeah.
can just do whatever I want.
Yeah. There's an interesting symbolism in there too with Shere Khan. The one thing Shere Khan is afraid of is fire. fire represents technology, which is what men wield that makes them separate from everything else, which makes them all the things you just said. They're more powerful than all the other animals in that way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when
It all
Mowgli,
starts with
when
fire.
Mo, yeah, but when Mowgli wants to confront him just animal to animal, he's going to get ripped to shreds, right? But
Yeah.
then as soon
Yeah.
as you add in this technology piece, Shere Khan's running for the hills.
Yeah. And what I
Yeah.
love is that moment where they do go face to face and Mowgli's all his bravado the whole time. It
Yeah.
just deflates instantly.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
moment Shere Khan is like, okay, I'm done talking with this rich, wonderful baritone,
Yeah.
and I'm just coming at you with claws.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
time to be a tiger.
Yeah.
Mowgli is screwed. Everybody's
Yeah.
screwed.
Right.
And it's that moment that, maybe it's a little bit of the divine, like the lightning happens
Hmm.
and offers him the gift of fire to either take up, are you going to keep pretending to be an animal and run away from fire? Or are you
Right.
in this moment going to embrace your humanity, pick up fire and
Yeah.
drive out
Right.
the evil out of the garden kind of
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's even King Louis ahead of that saying like you can control fire. He doesn't know that. He doesn't even know what that
Right.
is.
Yeah.
But that I don't know. That's a key kind of story piece in it. The story is kind of told again so sporadically, and it's not like that's an overarching theme that's going on throughout it. But like, um, and it would almost seem like it's loosely connected, but it makes sense that like it's all about him embracing like, oh, I need to go to the man village and
Hmm.
embrace that is kind of who I am. There is
Yeah.
a like the other theme I kind of see in there too is like trying to run away from like what your calling is, who you are, what your gifting is. I'm trying to be a bear. I'm trying to be
Hmm.
a elephant. I'm trying to be a wolf in all these ways. But at the end of the day, it's right, like you're not. They keep saying like you are not fit to be here in the jungle. And well, I think it's Bagheera. He's like, you'll if you stay here, like you'll get ripped to shreds. Like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I'm really good. I can be careful. I can take care of myself. It's like, no, you have all of us watching over you. Like, you're on
Right.
your own. You're gonna get destroyed here.
Yeah.
Um, and then
So,
yeah.
finish your thought.
Well, I was gonna say like it's even interesting how some of the other animals kind of are on Mowgli's side. Like, no, let him stay here. Like he's on our side, right? Baloo is like, oh come on, Bagheera, like let him stay here. Like we got him. We'll take. Bagheera says like to Baloo, um, like Baloo says, oh, we'll watch out for him. Don't worry. He's like, you drop your guard for an instant, like he'll get swallowed up, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah. He almost gets eaten by Ka.
Yeah. He almost gets eaten by
So,
Kosh. Shere Khan almost takes him out, right? Baloo's got to come in and save
yeah.
him. But like different animals have different ideas off of like how much he should go to the man village versus stay in the jungle. But all the ones that are kind of predatory lean a little bit more towards like you should stay in the jungle because maybe they have alternative motives. Anyway, that's my
Right.
musings on that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah. Like Ka is going, you can, you can trust me. Like what
Yeah.
could go wrong?
Yeah.
But so to revisit, so when he encounters the man, I can't remember the name of him in the book. The clan of monkeys has this cool name in the book. I
Yeah.
can't remember it right at the moment. But so he's human wanting to imitate animal. They're animal wanting to imitate human. So it's at the midpoint of the movie version where he
Yeah.
encounters his like mirror image,
Yeah.
like his inverted image
Yeah.
of like we'd like to usurp your spot, and he would
Yeah.
like to abdicate his spot. And when
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
encounter and the violence that ensues, it collapses the temple. Right, so there's
Mm.
something in there where it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like the sacred versus the profane, and the temple
Yeah.
collapses, and
Yeah.
Louis's kingdom is unmade. And of course, these monkeys are beatniks. They're like
Yeah.
hippies and beatniks, even the way they're
Yeah.
styled. Like they've got
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the shaggy hair,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
do like the beatnik kind of swing music, and
Yeah.
like um, and scat and everything. So they're
Yeah.
totally these beatniks that are anti-establishment and trying
Yeah.
to invert the order.
Well,
Like
it's anti-establishment, but King Louis is like, I want to be the guy. I want to be
and
the
isn't
dictator
that the
here.
goal of every anti-establishment
Right,
movement?
right.
It's not that I don't want anyone to be in charge. It's that I should be in charge. And since the current order won't let me be in charge, I'll destroy it. And not to go back to Scar again, but it's Scar. Idiots. Right. There won't be a king.
Yeah.
Like, so Louis is, and so at that moment when he encounters his mirror image, that's when it becomes really clear, because Baloo gets beat up, Bagheera gets beat up, and it's like, okay, we almost, like, this almost went really bad. We almost installed the tyrant. Like, had King Louis actually gotten fire, which he wasn't in any danger of doing, but had he done it, well, the jungle is now subject to tyranny of this lunacy.
In the remake of this one, which wasn't, I mean, for all the Disney remakes, it wasn't that bad, but like the whole jungle gets set on fire, like, as part of it, which is which is exactly what Louis would do, right.
So then it's from that moment where Mowgli really truly must move on. It becomes pretty clear that it's like, okay, it's not just dangerous for him to be in the jungle, it's actually dangerous for the jungle for him to be there.
Well, there's a turning point that feels like the turning point in the story too, because it feels like it goes from, all right, he's kind of like goofing around with his new animal buddies and singing songs, and it's kind of lighthearted, to like, we got to get you to the village. There's actually like some urgency that kind of kicks up there. Like, it feels like in a lot of ways the story kind of starts at that point, even though like we're more than halfway through the movie, because now there's a sense like he's actually got to get to the village, because up to that point, he's just singing songs with his animal friends.
Yeah. And he, that urgency and that clarity, once Baloo is convinced, Mowgli finds himself sort of, his argument, no one's supporting his argument that he can stay. And that's when he goes into what is essentially Gehenna. Like, he goes into the Valley of Death there. He's surrounded by those buzzards.
Vultures.
Yeah. And they've got that great 4-part harmony, and they're also like these sort of beatniky kind of characters. That in some ways they are stylistically potentially similar to the monkeys, where you don't know if they're good or bad. And of course they're vultures, and so your assumption is that they're bad. But but they're kind of helping him out, but like they're kind of a harbinger for what's about to come, because like as soon as they're done, like Shere Khan shows up and comes out. Shere Khan stalks the land of the dead there, and of course they feed off the dead. But they do, like, in this great inversion of them being kind of trickstery characters, is they go from mocking him to sympathetic, because if anyone's at the bottom of the shit pile, with Mowgli, it's a bunch of vultures, right? So they harmonize with him. So harmony is all symbolic, right? And so he joins their harmony, and it's like, great, you're only friends, like, eat the ass out of dead rhinos.
Right.
But here you are. Here's your spot in the jungle if you really want it. You finally found them. But they also potentially, because of their familiarity with death, they fight Shere Khan. On behalf of their new friend, and so so it's a very cool moment.
Well, it's also like the Mowgli's arrogance keeps him in the jungle. Shere Khan is about to rip him to shreds, and only for all the animal friends that he's made, who sacrificed themselves for him, is the only reason he's alive in that, right?
Yeah. And arrogance is great, because that also is the foil for Mowgli, because Mowgli's arrogance, from the very beginning, don't tell me what to do. I can go where I want. I belong here. I can climb. I can, he laughs at Ka after he, kicks him out of the tree. He's got
a lot of, he stays pretty snotty for someone who almost gets killed like many different times throughout it.
And his arrogance remains until he encounters the arrogance of Shere Khan, and then it evaporates. Like, in that moment, it's gone. And then, so then, of course, the end of the movie, he reaches a point where he kind of goes like, all right, well, I beat Shere Khan. I've learned how to be like all these animals. He kind of like proves his point in a way.
Yeah,
But at
yeah,
that
yeah.
moment where he proves his point, and they're at this turning point where it's like, well, gosh, maybe Mowgli is right. Maybe
Yeah,
he
yeah.
does get to stay.
Right.
He hears the song from
Then the girl shows up, right? And
the
then
girl shows
it's
up,
all over from there.
and it's all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, which again is, the point of the masculine hero's journey really is to turn you into the kind of man
Yeah.
that's worth being with a woman.
Right. Right.
Like in some way or another, it's like until you have gone through this process, you're just a boy, and no woman should have anything
Yeah.
to do
Well,
with you.
it's in when we did Lion King, but Can You Feel the Love Tonight is Timon and Pumbaa being like, our dudes, we got nothing to compete with this girl. Like, he's gone.
Right. Yeah.
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 And then that's what it reminded me of when Baloo's like, come on back, man. Like, don't go talk to her. It's like, he's not coming back.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's the ultimate, the ultimate restoration of like an ideal order is that, again, integration of the masculine and feminine, the heroic masculine that has proved he's worth a damn. And what I love is that, again, okay, so here's your Moses thing again. He goes and joins to carry water.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and she, of course, accidentally drops the
I know,
jug.
right. I noticed that for the first time. It's like, oh, she's flirting with him. It's the first time he's ever been flirted with. So he's like, he doesn't know what to do with it, right?
He's helpless. Yeah. So
yeah.
the mighty master of the jungle that had just finished defeating Shere Khan,
he's a puddle.
Give him those bedroomy eyes, and he's toast.
Yeah.
And then what he does is he steps into the role of servant, which I think again is the ultimate calling for the masculine is to like to that idea of meekness, that idea of service, of like, I'm capable of great violence. Let me carry your water for you.
Right.
And yeah.
My before kind of going back and rewatching it, because I think there's obviously much more than this, but like it's almost like this story of mentorship is kind of how I saw it, right? Because he meets all these different mentors and he learns different things for them, and some of them he learns some good things, some of them he learns some foolish things, right? But it's like it's kind of his journey of growing up, and it's only once he's kind of had these different like mentor figures behind him that he's able to go live a man's life, be a human in that way. When I was in college, I was doing like youth ministry and was looking at like different models for like training youth leaders. And I always thought the Jungle Book was a real kind of fun model of it, because it's like he has to learn from each one of these people. Each person pours their gifts, pours their ideas into him so he can go take his place in the world. I think it's a cool model in that as well. There's obviously a lot more going on by that, but like at the end, it's like Bagheera and Baloo are like watching, all right, the work we've done, go live the life you're going to live now. And they let go of him.
Yeah. They let go of him. And then they leave arm in arm, dancing into the sunset, like his guardian angels, like, all right, back into this jungle heaven for them.
Yep.
They've done their part, and he's off to live his life. And I
thought it was also cool too, because like Bagheera's annoyed with Baloo for like most of the movie, and it's like, no, they're buddies now, right? Like they've been through they've helped kind of raise this kid up together and been through some things, and now they're buds. Yeah,
and Baloo, even like he winds up being fine. It was a great joke where he's like getting all weepy about his own funeral, but like Baloo, who's this big dumb idiot, this lummox, makes this Christ-like sacrifice to where Bagheera even quotes scripture over and like quotes the words of Jesus over after he makes his Christ-like sacrifice, and then he resurrects. So he demonstrates to Mowgli that sacrificial act, and gets to resurrect it. So he kind of steals that part of the hero's journey for himself. And so so that kind of sums up the movie. Music wise,
Yeah.
for me, it's awesome. Like it's just got smash hits and like great karaoke favorites. You
Definitely.
know, like bust out bare necessities and karaoke. Like you're solid.
Yeah.
Music's
Bare
great.
Necessities, I think, is up there as like on my like top 5 iconic Disney songs movie list. It's Bare Necessities probably in there.
Yeah, so good. And
Yeah.
then I love the art direction. I love the characters are obviously so good. Like you said, they've shown up in numerous properties, like even where they have no right being. Like why is Baloo flying a seaplane in the 30s? Like it's so weird. But so what do we think? We like to talk about villain comeuppance.
Yeah. Yeah, see, this was because it's Shere Khan is a pretty minor character in this. I mean, he's looming over it because like, oh, he's gonna come, right? But then it's like he's in one scene, he looks really scary, he's stronger, and then the fire comes and he's gone, right? I mean, I guess if you're looking at the symbolism behind how he's gone, it's man embraces technology and scares off the beast. That's what separates man from beast.
Yeah. And so then the visual symbology is like, you tie the fire to his tail. And so he's in this sort of, Sisyphean, like permanent, he can't escape this. It's like he's going to get chased by fire for eternity.
Yeah.
He
it's
runs
the
off
consistent reminder that man's technology will always give him power over him, despite how bigger, stronger, scarier he is than them.
Yeah. And so he more or less like symbolically gets cast into the lake of fire. And
sure. Okay, there you go.
And like the cool thing about his character, like you said, he's not in it much, but he's talked about a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool character development in that, whenever you want to know something about a character, find out what other characters say about that character.
Yeah.
So that scene when we first really encounter him and he like yawns and scratches, it's like we get the sense everyone's talked about how scary he is.
There's a gravity to him, even though if you just saw like when he shows up, it wouldn't necessarily feel like that. But it was like, we need to get this kid out of here because Shere Khan is going to be on us. Yeah.
So then the hot topic that I want to talk about is the "You're a Bad Person" preamble. And so what I love is
what do you, I was gonna say what do you think triggered it? Why does this movie get slapped with that "You're a Bad Person" label?
And so that's what I was trying to figure out. And so like when we eventually do like Dumbo and Lady and the Tramp and stuff, I'll go ahead and I'll try and steel man arguments for those why they don't deserve this thing either. But so this preamble that they put on and what we're talking about, and you probably know if you've watched these movies on Disney Plus, is when you stream them, they put up this thing that tells you you're a bad person for liking this movie. The people who made this movie are bad people for making it. It was wrong then and it's wrong now. Like this movie contains cultural insensitivities and racial stereotypes with it. And so there's some where you're watching Dumbo and you're like, well, I know exactly what scene they're talking about. But this one, there's a couple movies where it's come up, and I'm like, whoever you hired as your like DEI representative for their 6-figure salary to come and try to hamstring anybody's enjoyment of these classics, and to somehow put themselves in a place superior to the hundreds of amazing artists and technicians that created it, if I may rant. So they have not only inserted themselves as if they belong anywhere near this intellectual property.
Right.
At the very beginning, they also put a little timer where you can't fast forward it, which is so Orwellian.
Although, yes, I noticed the timer felt much less. I've seen where that timer is like 15 seconds long. It felt like it was like 5.
Have they shortened it? Is that
it felt like it. That could just be my own wishful thinking.
I just love that you can't skip it. ultimate in this Orwellian pedagogy of like, you will listen to my lived experience by Jungle Book. So Jungle Book, for the record, has one human in it.
Yeah.
And so
it's two.
as far
It's
as
two. It's two.
you're right, two humans,
Yeah.
2 humans in it. They are geolocated in the same area of the planet Earth, in the same era, and I saw that thing and I was like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
And so what I love about these preambles is what they do, especially in these baffling instances, is they turn you into a racist. They go, okay, so there's some really racist shit in this movie. Try and figure out what it is. Like, exercise.
I mean, we're doing it right now. We're like, where is it? What's the?
Yeah, like,
is that? Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. If I was going to put on a white hood and really, really hate something in this movie, like, what could I create in here that's racist? And of course, like, they can't be talking about Mowgli and the girl, because, like,
I think they're talking about Mowgli and the girl, though.
They're Indian kids, right? So there's 2 humans. So anyway, so they're not talking about Baloo.
No,
I don't think.
That
right?
What tipped it off to me, it was like the only thing I could think of that would fit this. When the girl comes in, she's singing a song and she's singing about traditional gender roles in it.
Okay.
Father's off hunting, mom's cooking in the home, I'm fetching water, right? But actually, it's a story of like generational families growing up, and then she says she sings a song about father's off hunting, mom's cooking in the home, I'm fetching water. Someday I'll have a daughter, and a husband of my own.
And then she'll go get the water.
We'll have a daughter. She'll get the water. I'll be cooking in the home, right? And it's like,
yeah.
And so it's about generational cycles and how we grow and start a family and do that whole thing, right?
I don't think that's what it's about.
No,
I think because when I feel like you can see into the mind of someone by what they accuse other people of, right?
Okay.
It's like, you protest too much. You're calling it. It's sort of like reading White Fragility. Like, Robin DiAngelo thinks you're a racist because she's a foaming lunatic racist.
Right.
Like, you read through her anecdotes about where she sees privilege, and it's like, wow, the inside of your mind is a messed up place. And so if I go, okay, if I'm one of these kinds of lunatics, I'm gonna decide that the monkeys are racist. That's what I think they're talking about. And what I love about that is the monkeys, first of all, they're monkeys. They're not humans. They're monkeys. They're painted in all kinds of different colors.
Right.
There's like orange ones and red ones and yellow ones and black ones and purple ones, right? And they've got little beatnik haircuts.
Right.
Right? They're beatniks.
They're doing on the road.
Yeah.
They're Kerouac, right?
Louis is named King Louis because he's played by Louis Prima.
Right.
Who's Italian. He's like a red-haired Italian guy. And so maybe they're talking about being racist against Italians. But I don't think so. Because nobody ever gets mad at making fun of Italians. As someone of Italian descent.
That was, if you were to try to say, like, I think, like, this movie's really going after the Italians. I'm like, whoa, you're going to have to explain that one, dude. Like,
yeah. It'd be a real reach, right? But
Jungle
what I'm
Book,
assuming.
Not cool with the Italians.
And I would love for someone to jump into the comments that actually knows the history of why they slapped this preamble on this particular movie. But I'm betting it's some foaming lunatic DEI racist thinks that portraying monkeys is automatically racist. That's what I think. And I would love for them to get taken to task for turning everyone else who watches the movie into some kind of racist that watches it going, where's the racial stereotype in here? And then they get to suddenly get sucked into the cesspool of that person's mind when they decided that about Jungle Book. Anyway, so that's my hot take.
No, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out in this one. Like, the traditional gender roles thing at the end, that's the best I can do. if it's
I mean,
if it's portraying monkeys at all, then like everything with a monkey in it, like it's a I don't know. Yeah.
that's what I think they were after. Because the other thing they certainly weren't after was the incredibly stereotypical portrayal of British people with the vultures, right? It's like they got bad hair and bad teeth, and like when they're like hanging
Right.
around like a bunch of these
Right.
like no good no gooders, and like
Dirty
uh
vultures.
yeah, these dirty vultures, and like this sort of like lazy sort of accent, and like this is like lowbrow Cockney, like
Right.
and I was
Right.
like, I'm gonna guess that the DEI
No.
officer wasn't upset about that, and and
But no,
again, they wind
I
up
think you're
naming
it's
the only
just like
animals to help him.
it is weird when you because like that is in the back of your head when you watch the movie. It's like, all right, where's that thing? What is that thing
Yeah,
referring to, right? And then
yeah,
like okay, before I even watch the movie, I'm going to put on my cynical glasses about it. And I
right.
don't like
Yeah.
it.
Which and so here's the secret, and this is why I almost don't even want to have this conversation, because that's exactly what they want.
Right,
They
right.
want to ruin your experience of the Jungle Book by inserting their messed up paradigm
Yeah.
of the world, that it was wrong then and it's wrong now. And I promise you, they weren't sitting around making the Jungle Book going, what race can we really stick it to with this movie? Like,
Well, it's not it's you know, we're unpacking stories while we do this, right? And we've
right.
unpacked a bunch of different stories and angles and characters that are like really interesting about the story, right? That story is like not interesting at all. It's like
Yeah.
who are we getting at, and what's the oppression narrative that's coming out in this? It's like
Yeah.
it's not. And if
Yeah.
it was, it would be not interesting, and we probably wouldn't be
Yeah.
doing it on the podcast. So like
No. Well, and
it's
nobody will be watching it anymore, because it
right,
wouldn't have any kind of lasting
right,
integrity.
right.
And
Yeah.
so what a great way for some faceless person who has not contributed to the canon or the corpus of narrative art at all to insert themselves and their paradigm into that library
Right.
with no merit, like, no justification in that voice and that statement and that presence being in the conversation at all. And
Right.
so anyway,
Right.
uh, so the next time we talk about one of the movies that has another one of these "you're a bad person" preambles in it,
Yeah.
I'll go on for less time,
Okay.
but I am
For first
interested.
one, you got to let it rip a little bit.
Yeah, this is the first one. Let it rep, just so let it be known. Like the "you're a bad person" preamble will come up again, and we won't talk about the nature of the preamble as a whole, but I will, even in some of the more egregious scenarios, like Dumbo, I
Yeah.
will present my Steelman argument against it, because I don't think it has a place on any movie. Uh, but anyway, and
You're such a
I would love to have that conversation.
you're such an artist, Micah. Oh, you're always on the artist side. Um, no, yeah, it's good. So yeah, so that's the Jungle Book. We had a lot of fun with this one. Again, interesting story. It flows different. The pacing's different than a lot of other like Disney classics. And but yeah, would love to hear everyone else's comments on what your
Yeah,
takes are and where we got some or where ideas work or where you think they don't. Let us know.
yeah, and any other insights? I'm guessing that there's some kind of like totemic like quality to which animals
Oh yeah,
educate
yeah,
him
yeah.
and how, that we haven't touched on. So I'd
Yeah,
love to.
I did kind of think, was there something about like, I'm going from the the wolves to the panther to the bear to the monkeys. Is there some sort of like evolutionary civilizing thing happening as he goes
Yeah,
on? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could slice this one, but
yeah,
that's why it's got the depth it has to it.
yeah. And get out there and get yourself a copy of the book,
Oh
and
yeah.
give that one a read,
Yeah.
because it's fun, man.
So our next one we're talking about doing I think actually there's a lot of thematic parallels to this one, even though the setting is very, very different. We're gonna look at doing Wreck-It Ralph next, and
Yes,
yeah, but speaking of themes around like embrace, be who you were created to be. Like you're not a bear, you're not a wolf, you're not this. Like you're
yeah,
not a good guy, Ralph. You're a bad guy. So we'll
right,
stay tuned for the next round with that. But I think we'll have some
right.
cool parallels to see there, even though the movies obviously come from very different eras and the settings could not be more different.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And also, there's no the kick-ass songs in Wreck-It Ralph. At least not that you would sing along with. But
There's some of the Owl City at the end that doesn't get up to the level of bare necessities for you.
yeah, not quite.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
but all right, yeah, Wreck-It Ralph is next.
Cool.
All right, dude. Well, good chat.
Yeah, fun times. Thanks everyone. We'll catch you next time.